So to take off on this musical analogy and just talk a little bit about co-authorship one last time before we move into the digital age, I just want to mention a couple of really famous co-authors, John Lennon and Paul McCartney. And most of the Beatles' work was either written by Lennon and McCartney, occasionally by George Harrison. There was, toward the end, a pretty good bit of work by George Harrison, but mostly the work was by Lennon and McCartney. And there was an assumption that John and Paul sat in a room over a pint and wrote all these songs sitting in a room together with two guitars. And only later, much, much later, when Lennon was doing his solo career and Paul was doing his solo career, first it began to be obvious who did what and whose strength was what and in these different songs they'd done. And then it even became more obvious that they could each write in the other's vernacular. McCartney would record something that even to the vocals sounded just like Lennon. But the interesting thing was to hear them interviewed, and they'd say, you know, Paul really brought this thing mostly done, and I only contributed this. So it was interesting to me that in one of the most famous collaborations of all time in music, that there was always this issue that Margie and Pam bring up. Somebody's doing more on this at a given time than the other. So where does that take us in the modern digital age and where we're going apparently the next few years? What I found is that there are as many guidelines now as there are content areas and types of teams and really places.